Robren Etalk is brought to you by the Robren Group or the Robren E will and change you. And I'm the host. I'm actually known as the CEO Celebrity Whisperer. I'm also the father of firewalking. I brought firewalking to Asia before even Tony Robbins came to Asia. So if I can teach you how to walk on 650 degrees Celsius fire, I can teach you a lot of things. I'm also... Oops, not going to the next slide. Let me go to the next slide. I'm also the Asia's change expert, and our clients are Coca-Cola China, Hong Kong, Jockey Club, public banks, CNB Bank, and of course you also taken my leadership workshop a long time ago, like 2012.
Yeah, somewhere on there.
In fact, the time is also with my co-coach, which is my late wife and co-founder, Brenda Jose. So it goes a long way, and you were part of Naza, right?
Yes,
Naza
at the time,
yeah. So I have 42 years of research, and I created the game changes that will change the game. So I will tell you more later. So yeah, I also talk about angels, but that's for another time. So I'm practically called the CEO and celebrity and angel whisperer, so I can take you to places you'd never imagine is possible. So let me introduce you to Nicholas Gomez. He went all the way up the different stages in fact, later we'll run through in more detail. But in general, the gist of it is Nicholas, when I met him, he's already GM, and he went through quite a few rotation of GM, but definitely one of the prominent GM in Naza. But then something happened, and then he became a Proton Salesman, and you applied to 1,000? How many?
I think I stopped count at 1,200, but I think if you average out the numbers, I think as of when we discussed, I think it went way past 1,800.
1,800?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how you do it, but
I mean it's over a period of 2 years. So if you
so it's not like over.
No, it's not in 3 months or something.
I heard that you literally went to shopping malls. For retail. Can you tell us about that?
I think it was in the early days of the lockdown. So it was like Q2 2020. So, sitting at home and not doing anything, it's kind of, mentally kind of makes you messed up. So, my wife suggested, and I have to give credit to my wife. She's my rock and number one advisor and CEO and everything rolled into one. So she said, like, why don't you just go out and do something and go door to door if you have to.
The old school.
The old school way. Just
yes or no.
Just get a job and at least you feel like you're not bumming around and doing nothing, right? So I did actually go around city center and knock on doors.
Which one? The KLCC?
Yeah, around KLCC, around Pavilion, yes.
For retail? What about
retail, coffee shops, even a Apom Bali shop. Soya bean.
You were desperate.
I mean,
you sound like you were desperate.
I mean, I wanted to do something, and I think as like in between applying to corporate jobs, why not do something with my hands or physical or retail? It's okay. There's no shame in doing work and putting food on the table and paying the bills.
I deeply admire it. In fact, I didn't know that you were going through that. So I saw the LinkedIn article that you wrote, and very bold. You said I became a car salesman. Proton. In case those are foreigners, Proton is one of the
mass market car.
And I didn't know that you were doing that. That LinkedIn article had 20,000 views.
I can't remember, but it was like way more than normal.
No, definitely not. Yeah, so 20,000 views. This is not Facebook or TikTok. Like TikTok, you probably can do something stupid.
Yeah, 40,000
and
easily.
40,000 people will love it. But this is LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn typically, even hot articles, I normally get like 1,200 views.
So this was obviously a touch corner, and I admire that you admitted that you did that, and that's why I thought your story must be shared, and that's why we went on to this Etalk.
Yeah,
so
I mean, typically in I don't know, Asian culture or maybe globally even.
Shame.
Yeah, there's this save face, show face, don't give face.
Yeah.
So we always, I mean, like it or not, LinkedIn is social media.
Yes.
It's a social. Some people say it's social media with a work angle,
or with a time.
Or some people say it's just plain old social media, and it's not what it used to be. So when we were talking about this, my wife again, she said she challenged me, and she said, why do people only write about the good things in life?
Correct.
If something maybe unpleasant or non-show face kind of thing happens, why don't you be authentic? If you talk about authenticity, why don't you tell the truth? Why don't you tell people about what happened to you?
So I felt Nicholas was very admirable. He was definitely a rising star when I was trained in Naza Group. People whispering like, hey, he's the blue-eyed boy. And you know what blue-eyed boy is?
Not really.
So, I'm not sure it's a nice connotation, but he's definitely a rising star. So suddenly you're selling cars from and earning commissions. So that was like, what?
Yeah.
So it brings back to my own story. When I got married in Hong Kong, my first year in marriage, it was bad. I stayed with my late wife, of course my wife then, in a 3-foot single bed. I could not afford to rent outside, so I told my mom. I told Brenda, my late wife, Brenda Jose, that can we stay with your parents? So my in-laws, and they live in North Point, 600 square feet. It's not big, but it's pretty okay for normal size. I mean, if you're in Malaysia or Singapore, 600 square feet in Hong Kong is pretty good. Okay. It could be 30,000 rent, So anyway, the bedroom was 8 feet by 8 feet, and a single bed. So it was my poverty days. So that's why when I shared it, people are shocked. They only want to hear Robert Chen or Robren or Nicholas Gomez when they're successful and all the rosy things, isn't it?
Yep. I mean, people are used to seeing on social media, people traveling around the world, wearing a tie.
Exactly. And Facebook, they always say, is this a show-off thing? Just show
kind
off.
of.
I'm eating nice things.
You get
look where I am. Wish you were there.
You get the dopamine hit from your likes, right?
So let's go back to your story. You were applying, and can you tell us? Shall we go into now into your life story? Let's start.
Think.
Are you a local Malaysian?
Yeah, I am Malaysian. Even though
Gomez is.
It does.
Portuguese?
No, it's with a Spanish spelling Z. If it's Portuguese, normally with a S.
Yes, like Brenda is Di Jose. It's not Jose, which is Spanish, so it's pronounced as Jose.
Yeah, normally it's like there is Gomez with a S, Fernandez with a S. That's more of a Portuguese spelling. So.
And what is that? Malayan?
Yeah, the people. My grandparents migrated to Malaysia from the west coast of India, and then there's this state. India has a lot of states, and this state is called Kerala.
Kerala.
So they were fishermen.
Oh, really?
So my grandfathers on both sides, they were fishermen. So they decided to have a better life, and in Malaysia the rubber industry was booming. So they signed up, got on a ship, and they came to Malaysia. And ironically, my father's family is Kedah. My father is born in Kedah, and my mother is born in Johor. So like north and south, right?
I know.
And they got
Where
married
did they
in, I don't know where they met, but they got married in Malacca.
Oh wow, the historical.
And then they worked in KL. So I was born in KL.
You're born in KL?
1977 at GH General Hospital.
You was telling me about your mum is quite a character.
Oh yeah. My mother grew up in Johor. So she's a quiet lady, and nobody knows much about her. But they probably just know her as a school teacher.
Oh, she was.
Yeah, she was a school
teacher. Was she
teacher.
very strict with you?
No, she's quite laid back kind, and I must have been quite a naughty boy, asking for a lot of toys and sweets and
How
stuff.
many siblings?
I only have one brother. He's younger than me.
You're the elder one.
I'm the older one, so all the experimentation was on me. Right? Yeah, don't cross the road. Hold hands.
Eldest brother got all the
Yeah, that's the thing.
The youngest.
Youngest gets a lot more freedom, right? Yeah. So my mother grew up in Johor at the time when it was the Malayan emergency. So
Can you tell the audience what that is?
So Malayan emergency was actually like it was a war, but in order to not disrupt insurance payouts, the British called it an emergency. So you can look it up on Wikipedia. I think it's categorized as being from 1948 to 1960. So there were British, Commonwealth, Fijian soldiers in Malaysia.
Wow.
So my mother grew up and she ended up being in 2 shootings or firefights.
With who?
With the communists versus the Commonwealth forces. So I think one time the house my grandfather and grandmother had in Johor.
What happened?
There was a shootout. So the communists were shooting against the Commonwealth forces, and this house was in a crossfire.
In the middle?
Yeah, in the middle. So the bullets were flying, and then my grandfather had the presence of mind to tell everybody, hit the deck, go on the floor. Yeah, and I think it was a wooden house on stilts, right?
So there were bullet holes?
There were bullet holes. I think the bed in which my uncles slept on, there were bullet holes right above the pillow. So if they were there,
sleeping,
I think their head would have been exploded.
That's quite a story.
Yeah. So
is your mum she's not supporting anything, right?
No. She was just. I think she was probably a child at that time, right? So then my grandfather crawled on the ground. On the floor, turned on the light. So they knew there was a family there, and then they quickly kind of slowly moved away.
I thought you switched off the lights.
No, he turned on the lights to tell them there's a family here.
Yeah, please move on.
Can you, please don't shoot at us. So I think the next morning they found out their jackfruit tree was shot up. So I think they were more concerned about that. And the second time was when I think the government did propaganda movies in Malaya at that time, to show
anti-communism.
Yeah, so all the children and everybody went to see it. So at that time they had like a van, and then they pop out this screen and they project something.
So they went all over Malaysia.
Yeah, all over Malaya at that time, right? So
Malaya.
Before 1962. So in this movie that they played, it was like, don't give rice to the communists. So at that time, I'm sure they wouldn't want to not have rice. So they were pissed off, and they aimed at the screen and they shot from the jungle, from the tree line.
What?
So everybody scattered. So my mother and I think 2 of her siblings, they went and hid out at the shopkeeper's shop. And these were the days when there's no phone, there's no WhatsApp, there's nothing, right?
Twitter, hey, we're in trouble.
Yeah, so they hid out and they only went back in the morning. So can you imagine, my grandparents were probably like, where's my children? They might have heard of a shooting. So Malaya I think things were very different back then, right? So she and I think people of her generation grew up in that environment.
So a bit of history, you were in Kuala Lumpur?
Yeah, Kuala Lumpur. I went to Aminuddin Baki in Kampung Pandan. So it was quite a nice school back then, and I think we had a lot of camaraderie and friendship among people of different backgrounds, different races.
Yeah, not like now.
Yeah, I think now, things have become more polarized now. I think. I visited my school, and I was quite disappointed about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. We noticed me and my friend noticed people were clustering in the canteen, and it was more like race-based.
Yeah, I mean,
it's weird.
I'm older than you, and in St. Michael's in Ipoh, we had good. I mean they will go to the chapel, and even the Muslims will do that, and then there's a mosque directly in front. You play there, so there's no segregation.
I think back in the late 80s, early 90s, it was more important as to which club you were in.
Yes.
Are you like, okay, you are the rugby guys,
Interact club,
you are the photography guys, and then me and my friends in cadet police. So we were not we had like the pengakap guys, and then we kind of made fun of the pengakap guys, like you got ribbons in your socks, but then they would tell us like you polish your heels, something like that. So that was an interesting network, and
university. Where do you go to?
I went to I didn't go to any university. I went to college. Okay. I went to Federal Institute of Technology.
Okay.
And I studied for diploma in engineering. And
you wanted to be an engineer, or your parents wanted you to be an engineer?
I think it's like I wanted to be an automotive engineer.
Particularly, why automotive?
Because I love cars. I love cars. From young, I watched on TV. We had a show called Chips. Police guys.
Oh yeah, the Chips. Chips. For those Gen Z, you'll know.
Yeah, check it out on.
Sexy. What's it got? Esther.
Eric Estrada and the other guy. And motorbike. Motorcycle police. And every episode would have a car crash.
Yeah.
So when a little boy gets a Hot Wheels back then, you will want to reenact your car crash. So crash it. So I remember one of my uncles bought me a car, and then I bashed it up, and then I showed it to him. Look, uncle, I bashed it up. And he's like, "Wow, I just bought it for you."
You're talking a toy car, right?
Yeah, toy car. I mean, I was 4 years old or something. So, I mean, I love cars, and I wanted to be an automotive engineer, but my father forced me to become electromechanical engineer.
By the way, your father is listening to this, right?
No, he passed away. If my mother listens, I think she knows what happened, right? So I did it because he said auto is limited, so electromechanical engineering is better. Back in those days, I think in the 90s, early 90s. A lot of parents will say that if you're not an engineer, doctor, lawyer, you're a failure in life. Accountant, or in finance, you're a failure in life. So these are the so-called respectable things you should study. So that was then.
Okay.
I think things may have changed. So after I finished, I entered the workforce. So my father.
What's your first job? Sorry, you were saying that.
Yeah, my father wanted me to continue, but I think I didn't have the aptitude for electromagnetic theory. It was, when I looked at it, I realized, no, I cannot do this. And I told my father he would waste his money if he spends money on me.
You told your father that?
Yes, it was a lot of friction. I think I got shouted at for 4 days, 4 nights. But I think it was the most.
It's happening nowadays.
Yeah, it definitely happens. Yeah. But I think it was the most adult decision of my life.
Tell him don't waste your money.
Yes, because.
And what do you choose to?
I choose to work. This was for degree. So for degree level, I told my father. I completed my diploma, but my father wanted me to continue and get a degree in electronic engineering. Because I did like 2 years of that. But in the second year, I told my father that if I continue, I'm not going to make it because I cannot handle electromagnetic theory. It's too complex. For my brain and my IQ. So I think it was the most adult decision I made. He was not happy, but I think looking at my scores in EM, he said, okay, maybe you're right. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then he let you go to work.
Yeah, reluctantly allowed me to.
What was your first job?
So my first job, I was a motoring journalist.
What?
Yeah, I was a writer. I was discovered.
Not even in the. So you were writing about other things. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's so weird, right? So I worked for a magazine. It's called Fleet Auto. Now it's defunct. But at that time, the focus was on supposed to be on fleet magazines, which is now I think you got very good magazines out there like Asian Trucker and stuff like that. So back then it was supposed to cover fleet, but we ended up covering more like normal cars and pickup trucks and stuff like that.
So you're a journalist?
Yes, I was a motoring journalist, and I had a lot of help from an Australian friend. So my first article, he edited it like 16 times. So it was that bad. I thought it was good because SPM A1. So I thought SPM A1, but evidently it's not good enough for a magazine.
Okay.
So it taught me a lot, and I went around and I was exposed to car companies and stuff like that.
How long were you doing this?
I did it for about 2 years.
It's just like me. I studied accounting and business studies in Australia, but I never got into the industry. I was more fascinated by copywriting and advertising because when I was in Melbourne, all the advertising was very sexy, very provocative. So when I came back, I joined J. Walter Thompson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as a copywriter. So I did not study copywriting as in university. I just read books after books after books after books.
Self-taught.
And but you know what? I would recommend. It's funny that your first career is writing. My first career is copywriting, but it has helped me in my life. I would say I owe writing because now I use it for my own advertising. I'm also an investigative journalist. It has helped me. Writing has really helped me.
I think communication-wise, it does help a lot.
Yes.
So even for engineering, there's this classic book called Technical Communication. I forgot the author, but it's a very good book. And you got to get the right one because the same title, there's different authors, but there's one I think on Amazon is probably highly rated, and it's now 10th edition. It really helps a lot, whether you're engineering or technical or finance or whatever your job may be. I think communicating through writing is very important.
I would say there's a lot of students, university undergrads listening to this, and also in the future when we broadcast this, the Robrens show, is that you'll be surprised. Writing is so important, especially in PR. People think that PR is, gone were the days 30 years ago when you Miss Malaysia, Miss Universe, you definitely will get a PR job, and it's about pretty, but people do not know PR is a lot of writing. Later you'll talk about the PR.
I did that for a while.
So writing, I would say writing is a blessing for both of us. So what happened after that?
So I think when I was discovered by Zainuddin, nice guy. He was manager of Honda Malaysia.
Honda Malaysia.
Yeah, at that time, Honda Malaysia was formed as a joint venture between Honda Motor and DRB Highcom and Oriental, which is Car Motors. Yeah, so it's a tri-party kind of JV. So he asked me to come for an interview for product planner. So I said, okay.
What is a product planner?
So a product planner, maybe globally, a product planner probably has a bigger role in planning the products that an auto company puts out. Which means they analyze the competitive landscape.
Okay.
And then they find out which segments they are in versus the competitive landscape. And within each segment, what product and variations do you have to compete in the marketplace?
So you say like features like Honda, you're talking a certain model in Honda.
Yeah.
Competing with other brands like Toyota and all, which have the same price range.
Yes.
And so this is you have to have a right combination of pricing, features.
Yeah. Price positioning.
If you put too many features, then the price is
the price goes up. Yes.
Then the dealers complain. Is that the story?
Yeah, for sure. So, like for example, if we zoom in, we say that okay, we want to be competitive in the B segment. B segment being something like Honda Jazz, Toyota Yaris, Toyota Vios. Honda City. So in
That category.
B segment. So in
What's
the
B?
B is that size of vehicle.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like
The whatever CC.
yeah, it's bigger than in size. It's more like a size thing. The engine does not really matter nowadays,
okay.
right? We look at, okay, you have Jazz, they have Yaris. So if we want to compete, for example, you want to launch a new Jazz. In the past, the Yaris has beaten you because they have X, Y, Z features. And the dealers are saying, oh, if only we had these features, we could sell. Okay, so then we say, okay, we can put in these features, but the cost goes up this much. Is it okay?
So it's a optimum,
you want to find this,
okay.
you want to find the sweet spot. It is about price. It is about not breaking the psychological barrier. Let's say you're at 69, you don't want to go to 71, or if you go to 71, can it work? Can it not work? So the product planner at a local level, at a Malaysian level, kind of analyzes the local landscape. As opposed to regional or global, then you have to compile more information. So
this is very important.
It is a critical part of marketing, because in marketing you have many functions. You have advertising and events.
Correct.
You have market research.
Correct.
Then you have product planning, and PR can be an affiliated function, maybe sometimes related to marketing, sometimes standalone. So product planning, product management works hand in hand with the rest of the company to make sure everything runs well.
So those days, do you learn it or learn on the job?
It's more like learn on the job. There was no real.
You still have to learn on the job.
I think so. I don't think there's any modules out there. It would be interesting to create one.
I know.
But I think I did help to write when I moved on to the next company, I did write a product introduction manual.
Wow.
Yeah. So like at 12 months, at 18 months, what do you do? At 12 months, 6 months, 3 months, and then post-launch. And then it had like the role and responsibilities of every single department, like sales, service. Obviously, the parts guys need to know your parts that you need to stock, and they need to cascade it down to the dealers. What do you need to stock? Special tools.
All this is product planning.
Parts, yeah. Product planning is not actually to control those sub or related areas, but you have to coordinate, because you're launching a new model, but there's a lot of work in the background. So if you are working in a silo, then the sales guy will say like, when are we supposed to do sales training? Somebody has to be the coordinator for this. So the product planner, there's a lot of emphasis in plan as well as product. Yeah.
This is fascinating.
Yeah, it's an interesting job.
So that's when you went to Honda.
Yeah.
What was the next thing?
So I was there for 4 years, and then I was headhunted to join Naza Group. Specifically
you all know
for
Naza, ZA, and it's one of they were sole agents for. They were
at that time.
What do you call it, assemblers?
At that time they had I think they still now it's sold, but a majority stake is sold. But at that time, the jewel in the crown was a factory in Kedah, which was had a lot of potential to be a hub for ASEAN for the brands that they had, and at that time they had Kia, Korean brand, doing very well at that time, 30,000 plus units per annum.
For Korean brands?
Yeah. Even now, 30,000 is formidable. Yeah. And we had Peugeot, Citroën, car brands, but there were other brands as well for CBU like Ferrari, Maserati, and so on. But I was involved only in the CKD brands. CKD meaning completely knocked down or assembled in Malaysia.
So they felt the Honda experience will.
Yeah, that kind of helped because they didn't have a product planner per se, so it was more like everybody did that function, a bit of this, a bit of that.
Okay.
So yeah, it helped me a lot to get a job, and I moved, and then I started work on Kia. And then I did that for I think about 4 years, 3 years, and then Then I was transferred to become a business development role.
You said when you traveled?
Yeah, I did a lot of traveling to, at that time, Naza Group wanted to enter India. So
India?
so I went to
It's
India.
like a big market.
It's a huge
Is it
market.
hard to enter?
Every country has a lot of barriers to entry.
Exactly.
So the barriers could be governmental red tape, import duty, whether you have the right partner. Because a Malaysian company with no product manufactured here, it is more like the aim is to be a distributor for a brand that is not in the market right now. So to find the land, to learn the market landscape, and also the homologation testing and approval. So I went to Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers in Delhi. So that's in Delhi. So knowing some of the people in MA here helped to open the doors because they were kind of cold initially. So when I mentioned name drop people, then okay, you know that guy. Then they showed me they gave me a lot of material which became the basis of my feasibility study, which
That's
ended up
fascinating. That's a great exposure for someone.
At that time, at that time, I was like maybe lower middle management or something. So
this is
big job working with our factory guys, business development, finance. It was quite interesting. And then R&D was in Pune, in India. Pune. It was like Mumbai, and it's down south a bit. So R&D center was there. To have homologation and testing in India at the time, they had crash tests. So they don't care if you're BMW, Mercedes, they will crash one body shell. In Malaysia, it only started, I think, recently with the Malaysian Malaysian NCAP. So at that time, in 2008, this was something like new to us, to Malaysians. And India is such a big country, so having one stockyard is not enough.
Exactly.
Typically, they have 2 or 3, and so the business plan, coordinating with finance, and so on. It's a good learning experience, I would say.
Other countries that you entered?
There were also.
This is fascinating to me.
There were also plans to enter Vietnam.
What?
Yeah, so we went to Vietnam, we went to Bangladesh, I went to Bangladesh with the finance head, I went to Pakistan.
All different. Each country is different.
Yeah, each country is different. And Pakistan, I don't know, at that time, I think the emphasis on safety wasn't really there. So we went, we were scheduled to go at a certain date, and it happened to be 1 month after the Marriott bombing. I don't know if those who have watched the movie Zero Dark 30. Zero Dark 30 is about the Islamabad.
Based on the true story.
Yeah, Islamabad, I think it was Intercontinental or something, a hotel that got blown up. So we went there 1 month after.
What year is this?
I think it's 2009, 2010 or something like that. Yeah. So Pakistan was very on high alert at that time. So there were dogs, and to go
sniffer dogs, right?
Sniffer dogs. I didn't expect to see in Pakistan, and barriers at when you enter the hotel. There's out of the ground a big barrier comes up. What do you call it?
Car bomb or something.
Car bomb. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why previously, before that, we don't have any barriers.
You can just
after all those incidents,
you have to go through an S-curve.
You cannot go through.
And then the entrance of the hotel, you have the airport security where you take out your bag and put it through. So it was quite an experience. Not exactly very settling, but interesting.
Okay.
So that was I would say quite interesting part of working with cars.
With cars.
Yeah.
Did you then go into other departments? Did they rotate?
Yeah, they rotated me a lot. So then I was rotated to corporate communication, believe it or not. I have no experience.
Communication.
I have no experience.
You learn PR, Nicholas.
No, I formally
Did you work in PR?
I have no formal training in
I know,
PR.
but you were in a journalist.
Events, we just try to be better than the rest in the sense that deliver cars with full tank of petrol, which some companies until today don't even do that. So, as a journalist, you pick up a car and oh my god, it's full, it's empty tank. So it's a bit disappointing, right? So when you get a car with a full tank of petrol, it's washed, it's clean, it's ready for photo shoot, it makes life easier. So the idea is you make life easier for the journalist, and the journalist hopefully will give you a good review. And it's also, I mean,
small details matter.
It's details, and I would say money matters.
Money matters.
Because if you are an advertiser, you have to understand how the media works. And if you're a reader in today's world, you should know how the media works. Free-to-air media is not new. It started with radio.
Yes.
So when you listen to radio, you're not buying a physical paper.
Yes.
So the publication, the media house, doesn't earn money from selling physical paper. So where do they get the income from? You have overheads, you have salaries, you have bills to pay. It is the advertising income.
Yes.
So, like it or not, the advertising income is where the money is at for all these journalists, the media, and it's a finite resource, because the total industry volume for cars in Malaysia hasn't grown much in the past 10 years.
No.
It has been quite stagnant at 600 plus.
Oh.
And Malaysia has actually peaked at in 2015. Peaked. So it hasn't peaked since. But to say it is not. It's not really. Some people say sunset, but I don't think it's sunset, because there's a use.
They actually say sunset.
Yeah. People have been saying that for the past 10 years. But I wouldn't say so, because the used car market is still big.
What's about the used car market? Some people think the used car is not your
I don't really have much of a handle on the used car market. But what I do know is Malaysia actually is a 1 million plus market.
1
million. 1 million. Yeah, because we have new vehicles which sell typically on now probably 500 plus.
New cars.
New cars, 500,000 plus per annum. We used to be averaging 600,000. But
mean brand new.
Brand new, buy from an authorized dealer. But the used car transactions are also
1 million a year.
If you include grey and used,
wow,
it's 1 million. It's 1 million is, I think, like Indonesia is doing about, I believe, 1.3 or something like that. Thailand is also about 1.
This is quite high for our per capita.
Yeah, it is respectable. So there are opportunities for parts, there are opportunities for insurance, and there's a big market for runners to go and get you your Rotex insurance delivered to your house. Things are changing. Finance, there's a lot of opportunities for finance. So the industry is alive. It is not growing
exponential
as we would like it to be, but it's still there. It's just that maybe when there is no spectacular new vehicle growth, then maybe opportunities at authorized distributors or subsidiaries are limited. But the industry itself as a whole is still alive.
For those who want to apply in the industry, so you're telling them it's not a sunset industry?
I would say no, it's not sunset. And also, as a Malaysian, I think you should look at regional opportunities. So Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore. A lot of HQ level companies are set up in Singapore. There's a lot of growth in Indonesia and Thailand and Malaysia as well. I think maybe not in volume growth, but other things like we've seen Kasem, MyTukar, these startup companies that come in and nobody thought of it, but Kasem is growing, and I think they offer you. The name of the game is they offer you a good deal on your used car. So this is actually helping the trade-ins at the new vehicle showrooms. I've been to showrooms where the salesman actually says like, we don't do trade-ins directly to us. Why don't you just sell your car on Kasem or MyTukar? So they're actually literally telling people that. Yeah. So the landscape is changing. 5 years ago, this wasn't like that. And I think there are ways and means to reach the consumer in different ways now. Like Trump is a guy who doesn't rely on the mass media so much. He tweets, or he tweeted, past tense, right? No more. No more. So likewise, as any company today, I think you have to think of doing your own PR and your own communication through your own social media channels to reach the end user. So the landscape has changed quite, and then you have more peer-to-peer review. Like if I want to eat at a restaurant, or you want to eat, you probably Google, okay, is this place good? What's the rating? 5 stars. So these people are more maybe trusted sources.
Like TripAdvisor.
TripAdvisor.
Is a good review before I even go.
Yes. And I think it's also happening with the job market. Because you have websites like Glassdoor.
Yeah, Glassdoor. They can tell you, hey, don't go to that.
Yes.
So employer branding is so very important.
Yeah.
Just like Apple is a product, but is it good to work for Apple?
Yep.
Like Facebook is now the hottest item.
Yep.
Like Facebook changing the name and all. It's one thing to that Facebook is a great or it's a good product, but is it great to work in Facebook?
Yeah.
Well, that one people will talk about, and they are whistleblowers. Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in today's market, if your company and hire people, you also have reputation management you need to think about.
Correct.
Yeah, so your ethics, your compliance, your whistleblower policy, and having a whistleblower policy is not
Tell
enough.
us about because this one in Malaysia. Sometimes a whistleblower get in trouble. But there is good whistleblowing in corporate. I'm not talking about politics. Let's forget that. But in corporate.
Yeah, let's talk about corporate setting. So in a corporate setting, I think everything has to start with your code of conduct, right? So you want to be an ethically run business. You want to be seen as an ethically run business by your vendors.
Yes.
Your vendors want to get paid on time.
Yes.
They want to deal with a reputable company. Your bankers want to deal with a reputable company. Your local political people want to deal with a reputable company. Your principals from overseas, if you sell a product you're importing, they want to deal with a company that's ethical. And last but not least, your staff. You want to attract good talent.
Yeah.
So
they are proud to work.
Proud to work there, productive, loyal. So in the old days, we didn't have stuff like Glassdoor and stuff like that, right? So Glassdoor actually is not that old. It's not that new. It's been around for some time. So I would say any young person or even middle management, senior management, I think now we live in a day and age where it's no longer just a trendy thing to talk about. Code of conduct, DEI, stuff like that. I think what you need to do, and I've been part of a lot of clubhouse talks as a member of, I am a member of Speak Up Academy. You can look it up on Clubhouse. There's a lot of sessions you can join.
Is that Didi Wong's thing?
No, it's run by Anima Kosai, Emilia Sharif. Please look them up on Clubhouse for the viewers. So it'll be nice to have you on also.
Okay.
So we talk about a lot of topics like DEI, misogyny, discrimination, bullying at work. It's a big thing.
Big thing now.
Bullying is a very big thing.
What do you mean by bullying at work? Are you talking boss bullying you? That's authority. What do you mean by examples of bullying?
Example of bullying is many. We had a 4-hour session recently.
Really?
4-hour session.
Is that hot topic?
Hot topic. People join from Indonesia, Beijing.
Wow,
bullying. So whole of Asia Pac, a lot of people join. It's something which is destroying a lot of companies.
Examples of bullying.
Example is like I could generally, right?
Generally,
I could be a boss who's a megalomaniac boss. I could be an egotistical boss.
Yes.
I've arrived at my position through maybe attrition and stuff like that. I moved up the ladder, but I have not been trained to be empathetic. I'm naturally not empathetic. So what I do is sometimes a staff may be good at their work, but they're outspoken. You're not like old school 20 years ago.
They challenge you.
Yes sir, 3 bags full sir. But they say like, no, I think Nick, you're wrong. I think we should do it this way. But then as an egotistical boss, I say, you are too good, you're too smart. I should teach you a lesson.
Yes.
So I kind of, but I know we have a code of conduct in the company, so I cannot, I cannot slap you or throw an ashtray at you and things like that, the old school way. So people gaslight you. They make you think you're bad, you know. They make you think you're inadequate. So this is also a form of bullying. Ostracizing people,
mind
games and all that. So the sad thing is in politics, in today's day and age, a lot of people, they don't even know they are being bullied. They don't realize they're being bullied, but they just feel the workplace is becoming more toxic. And when you have a toxic workplace, the good people leave first.
That's the sad part.
Because they have market value.
Yeah, they can go anywhere.
They say, I'm not going to take this, this crap, and they leave. So the company goes into a downward spiral. You have less and less good talent. I think Steve Jobs called it the bozo explosion. Have you heard of that? You heard of that, right? I think Guy Kawasaki kind of reinvented the phrase. So when I think the short answer is you have to have a code of conduct. Then you have to have an HR which is not subservient to bosses. You have to have an HR which is kind of standalone. And then you have to have these policies that are championed not only by HR but exemplified by the top management, which is speak up, see something, say something.
See something,
say something, do something. So it's related to safety. We talk a lot about physical safety.
This is OSHA.
Yeah, OSHA, HSE, whatever you call it, right? In many companies, it could be health and safety or whatever. But I think we now have more safety consciousness than before, and I think the next step is mental health and safety.
I know, I'm quite passionate about that.
Yes.
I study psychology a lot and about depression. So especially in COVID-19, there are more and more people depressed.
Yes.
And in despair. So we want to send a message of hope that in all these things there is the hope.
Yeah, there's hope. I mean, if you have workplace toxicity, does your company have code of conduct? Do you have a channel to complain to HR? And if not, then a whistleblower policy. But the whistleblower policy is actually useless if you don't enforce it and you don't have a no retaliation policy.
Yes.
Because you can have all the whistleblower policies in the world.
Protected.
But if I blow the whistle, but I get slapped around as a result, what's the point? No one is going to speak up. No one's going to speak up. So it just becomes an ornamental thing to
I think it's happening in every industry. I was reading last year that the lawyers are feeling they're not being paid. When they're not interning, when they're doing the first year, they're paid below market.
I see.
And no one is speaking until now. They're saying we are paid below market, and we don't even know until someone said that.
Yeah.
So I thought I was thinking like, wow, lawyers. I thought they would be very the most outspoken, but even they are controlled, and all the bosses want to control them.
I think we probably had a very different idea in the past before social media was so prevalent, and these things were probably happening, but there's some undercurrent and we don't see. But now, I think especially in today's day and age with the platforms we have out there, people are more vocal.
Also, sexual harassment before was, I mean, we heard of one minister that say, "Why are you bringing this up after so many years?" Same as Me Too. What happened with Harvey Weinstein? Happening 20 years. Finally, someone stood up and say, "Yes, it did happen." Same with the show, the Bombshell. So yes, sometimes it takes years for it to come out. For people to feel safe. They reach a certain place in life, not like then, and say, yes, it did happen to me, but that was when I was, my career's in the line, I have to comply. So the world has changed.
The world has changed, and I think a lot of people are fearful that, if I speak up, my career will be affected.
So what is the message you want to tell the youth and also the younger with less power? Is it okay to speak up? Is it okay to whistle?
I think you have to judge your situation, because if you're in a company which has a clearly written policy and
Check your HR
enforced
manual.
policy, yes. If you have an enforced policy, always go with the company's code of conduct. If you feel somebody is going against the code of conduct, you have a right to see them face to face, one to one, and tell them, Robert, I think what you said in the meeting room just now, it is not appropriate. It goes against company policy. Could you please not do that? I think that's okay.
I think it's okay.
It's fine. You're not.
This is above the board.
It's one to one. Yeah, we are face to face. I'm not attacking you behind your back. So even if you're a toxic boss, you shouldn't feel threatened by me.
Yes.
And I think even if you go through HR and I don't come to you, because you have a no retaliation policy in place, if your company has one, then
always go to HR and
it's
say,
safe.
hey,
you feel safe. But more often than not, most people don't feel safe because they don't have enforced policies in place. So if that happens, then you have to decide, and sadly, you may have to leave the organization. Yeah. If your company does not have all these code of conduct, whistleblower policy, no retaliation policy, and if they have it but they don't enforce it, then you're probably just going to put yourself out there on Front Street to be attacked or retaliated against. So it might be just better to leave, but you can always write a review on Glassdoor after you leave.
Anonymously, or
Glassdoor is quite anonymous. Yeah. So the thing is, eventually, this kind of behavior destroys companies.
Yeah, I think big and small companies. I remember I won't mention name, but I'm talking the big resort, and I remember I actually bought my interns there, and my intern in the meeting told the executive director, he said, do you know that there's a Facebook group that is it's all about complaining about the company.
Okay.
5,000 of them. He said, what? And you know what he said? He said, what are they talking about me? So yes, some are talking about you, but this is in general. It's about the founder and all that. So it's like, can you speak up to me?
Yeah, I think there's a comment from Jai. Yeah, sorry.
Why don't we move closer?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is it clear? Am I mumbling?
So we'll go nearer, and then you got your mic there. So anything?
20 more minutes. The last 10 to 5 minutes will open up for Q&A.
Oh, it's already 6:30.
Yeah.
But we're going up to 7, isn't it?
Yeah. So 20 more minutes. So
20 more minutes. Yeah. So I think we should move on.
Move on. Okay.
Move on.
Yep.
So maybe we sit nearer.
Okay. So we shall fast forward to
what we talking now?
Work, then Naza Group. Then I left Naza Group. I joined.
Yeah. So after Naza.
Then I joined.
How long Naza?
11 years.
Long time.
Yeah, long time, more than a decade. Then I got hired by Dato' Tan Upin, part of the Tan Chong family, and he ran a Volvo dealership. So I was dealer principal there. Then I was there for less than a year. Then I was headhunted by an American diesel engine company. So I left. I went there 3 years. It was very interesting. It was outside of cars. It's totally different industry.
What brand?
Cummins.
Cummins. What's Cummins?
Cummins is an American diesel engine company. You can find it all over the world, but probably not very visible. Like you go to a mine, you open a Hitachi excavator, and you find a Cummins engine inside. Or you go to KLCC, and the backup power generator is Cummins.
So it's like an Intel.
Yeah, Intel
it's
inside.
It's like it's everywhere, but yet we
unseen.
Unseen.
Yeah, it's not seen, not advertised. If you've eaten fish, I think 80% of the fishing boats in Malaysia run on Cummins.
80%.
Yeah, maybe 90.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's then I was then that company shut down some of the branches and I was affected. So this was a surprise, and in November 2019 I found myself without a job.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a shock. So
That's when you start applying for work.
yeah, of course. Yeah. So I applied for work, and at that time, since it was without warning, me and my wife were going to Japan. So I didn't tell my wife until after the trip. I didn't want to spoil the trip. Yeah. So it's kind of mentally taxing. So then,
lost the job.
yeah, I lost the job after 3 years.
Okay.
So that was when I was in my wilderness time, and then I eventually became a Proton Salesman for 4 months.
Oh, we're muted. We're muted.
Okay.
Yes. Hold on. Did I?
I think you can unmute here.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear us now?
Let's backtrack a bit.
Yep.
You were talking about your wife finding out.
Yeah, my wife. I kept it a secret. So until I told her after we came back, and then I was in my wilderness years, and I went knocking on doors, Apom Bale place, coffee shop. Then I became a Proton Salesman, which is I think less of a barrier to entry to become. And I worked as a Proton Salesman for 4 months, and I sold 6 cars.
Oh, that's bad, isn't it?
No, it's good. For a part-timer who just jumped in
That's good.
from nowhere, yeah. If you're a good salesman, you sell 3 to 4 a month. That's good.
Okay.
But to start from a zero base,
Oh yeah, because you got no customers.
and during the COVID apocalypse,
Oh, so this is considered not too bad.
and no test drives.
And no test drive. Oh no. Oh yeah, you can't have test drive.
No, they could, but I sold 6 cars without test drives.
How could you?
Purely from digital marketing.
What?
I went online, I started a Facebook page, I kept posting a lot of stuff, I WhatsApp people.
Really?
Yeah, so these people, I worked in a small dealership, we're not one of the big ones. We don't even have 3S, it's a shop lot Proton outlet. So purely from word of mouth and digital push, I got these 6 cars, and out of those, 4 were pre-registered, so I had to drive to Tanjung Malim, bring back a car, wash it, spend a lot of time. So it was kind of difficult because the pre-registered were a discount, so I had some pipeline of customers. So it was interesting. Then my high school friend met me one time, and that was, I think it came at the right time. Because at that time the showrooms were opening up, and these digital sales were kind of tapering off.
It doesn't meet the needs.
Yeah, so at that time he came and he asked me, like, would you want to join my startup company?
You were you unemployed.
Yeah, so I mean, I was a part-time salesman, so I didn't get employed in a full-time role. In between, I did some consulting for a Japanese razor blade importer and diesel stuff, and so I've been working full-time there since November.
What's a startup?
So it's a startup.
So it's all young people.
Young people.
You're the oldest guy there.
I literally,
seriously?
I literally am the oldest person there. Me and my friend, we are both born in 77.
Okay.
He's now my boss.
Okay.
And it's a mobile wellness app.
You want to plug this?
Yeah. If you go to your if you look for mobile apps, be it Apple or Android, look for Sentuh, which in Malay means SENTUH, which means touch.
Sentuh.
So this startup company delivers wellness to your home. You want a massage, physio, or antenatal, or haircut, you just open an app.
Wow.
So it's a Grab of wellness.
It's a Grab of wellness.
Yes.
So
it's like Grab but wellness.
So all types of massage, chiropractic.
Yeah, the physio is doing well. There's a lot of physio, Penang, Klang Valley. So physio, especially if you're a stroke patient, you want to bring elderly people around, right? It's not easy. So you order on the app, they come to you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So there is this phenomena, and I was talking with one of my associates called Michelle Teo. She was the director of business development in Manpower, and she tells me that she's now a country leader and also associate. She says that the new phenomena is your boss could be below 30.
Yes.
And especially old farts like us. You could be working with someone that is younger than you and could be your boss. So this is now this is a big can be a problem if you have a age ego thing, because back in our generation is everything is age. I eat more salt than you and all that.
I talk down to younger people.
But now the younger people are cleverer and smarter, and not necessarily in IT. It could even be an incredible chef or someone that is really good, a
visionary.
Doctor. They're visionary. It could be below 30.
Yes.
So now even Forbes have below 30, under 30, below 30, and they are changing the world. So we are supporting, in fact, under our Purple Youth.
Yep. And I think the pendulum swings both ways, or the knife cuts both ways.
How?
At the same time, you have young people who may not want to hire older people.
You mean we are not hireable?
Well, so I had some friends who said, we were having a meetup, and they said, those guys are like 50 years old. So they said, we are all unhireable. So I thought that was quite sad to hear, right? Because I think people over 40 or even over 50, they have a lot of things to offer in terms of sales, interaction, and some knowledge.
Wisdom.
So don't write them off yet.
Yes.
So one thing we did discuss earlier in the auto industry that I think a lot of people don't talk about is inventory loss or theft or fraud.
What does that mean?
It happens very often in the auto industry.
But
I would say any industry, it's common. But in the auto industry, that's where I had experience. So it happens when you notice that when you do a stock take of your spare parts, you notice like
missing.
A lot of money is missing.
Wow.
And in one case, I won't name names, but this company in Malaysia lost like 3 million.
Who's stealing this?
It could be anybody involved in the supply chain, anybody involved in the shop floor, or the parts, the person in charge of parts. But what I discovered was, again, I won't name the company, but in general, the technicians were stealing the parts.
How?
There are many ways to do it. Like, for example,
are you teaching people to be crooked, or
no? I'm revealing this so those in the motor industry who are in charge, you know how they steal, and you can put a stop to it.
So this is not to teach you. And anyway, those people listening to this,
the thieves are going to be thieves anyway. So we are teaching the good people how to detect.
Identify. So talk about this. How did you do this?
Okay, one way is I get a company car. Okay, Robren, your company car. Come in, I'm going to do your normal service.
Okay.
But I write on the job sheet, there are many more problems or things that need to be replaced.
But actually not true.
Not true. So I just charge out all these parts.
It's company account, I don't care.
Nobody checks. No customer to complain. The finance is not really looking at this. When you have this situation, then you can do a lot of things. So I found out the finance guy's car had parts charged to it like 100,000 ringgit worth of parts. So back to stop loss. So they charge out all these parts to this company car, and then the parts never go into the car. It's actually taken out the back door and sold outside.
So we hear about a certain prime minister and renovating, and it's like 38 million. It costs it's the same price as the building.
Yeah.
So isn't that a bit like that? But it's in the real estate industry. I'm sure it's rampant everywhere.
I think fraud and theft is so common in Malaysia. It's a way of life. And I think but the problem is if you are in charge of this business, and these are losses and leakages that are going to harm your bottom line.
Yes.
And it will create a very toxic environment where everybody is trying to steal whatever is not nailed down to the floor or bolted onto the floor. It's going to be tough.
I remember I was coaching 7-Eleven, and then the CEO whispered to me. I was actually doing one-on-one coaching all the way to CEO. The CEO was a Taiwanese head of 7-Eleven Hong Kong. And then the CEO whispered to me and said that he thinks that the property manager is overcharging because he was seen going to Macau with all those contractors, and then it costs 1 million more to renovate that thing. and he doesn't dare to tell his CEO, and he's a COO. So I ended up being the whistleblower, but I'm a consultant. So because he felt he don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So then I went to him, and then it was solved. So this happens.
Then it's so prevalent because a lot of people don't want to talk about it, or they feel it's not my problem, you know, and it keeps festering. And I think one fraternizing with your vendors is a no-no. I did try not to
What's
do that.
fraternizing?
Like being too close, like going on holiday with your contractors. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
It in a well-governed company, this will never happen.
Okay, so any last thoughts before I go into
last thoughts
massive
is
rejection?
I think a lot of people are facing a lot of problems, and they're suffering from challenges, and this can take a toll on you mentally. But I think what I want to say is 1,800 jobs, I don't think it's unique to me.
Okay.
I think a lot of people out there who have been looking for easily 1 year, 2 years, I think you can easily hit 900 in a year, because if every day you're doing like 10 a day, you're gonna hit like 3,000 in a year.
Yes.
So it's
okay. So
the message is stay positive, never give up, stay mentally strong. Easier said than done.
Yes.
But have your family. For example, my wife. Fully supports me, and then my mother and brother are also very supportive. So whenever you feel down, your family and your friends are your
anchor.
Yeah.
So you may not have to go through what Nicholas went through, being rejected 1,800 times. So let me talk about, and I'll share this screen now, and you can jump in anytime. Can you see this? Okay. Can you see this? Yeah. So look at Michael Jordan. He missed 9,000 shots. He failed over and over, and that's why he succeeded. So we have all these stories, and do I have to shut this part? Yeah. So how do you handle massive rejection is, before the rejection, you should recognize the rejection in your life. So learn from taking risks. Avoid putting all your eggs in one basket, because then you feel, you got no options.
Yeah.
So talk to other people, like you said, so get your support system happening.
Yeah, I would add for number 3, don't think you have a job for life. It's not. You're not gonna.
Yeah, gone are your father's days where they work for 30 years, or the Japanese system, right?
Yeah.
So it's not. Don't. You may have to move on. Then during rejection is take time to cool off, allow yourself to feel the emotions, surround yourself with supportive people. And also take time, it's okay to have some alone time.
Yeah, for me it was going for walks. I just walk.
For me it's cycling. Yeah. So I think you have some me time.
Yes.
And take care of yourself, and talk to professional HR people, talk to us if you want. And lastly, you have to build your self-esteem. We probably in the future will have a e-talk about the 6 pillars of self-esteem, which is awareness, acceptance, purpose, and integrity. Those will help your self-esteem. And finally is after rejection. If you've been rejected for whatever reason, whether rejected from a job, rejected from a marriage proposal, whatever, rejected by your boss. Healing takes time. Don't take it personally, but reflect on experience and continue taking risks. Also, there are game changers, which I'll tell you. So one game changer is the 9 new norms. These are the new ways of doing things. This is all listed here. There are 9 new ways that will make you money. We will cover more in the future. In fact, I can involve you too. And number 2 game changer is called the law of repulsion. I created this after 42 years. It is, to me, the most significant life-changing programming since NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. So it's about how to repulse people that are toxic in your life and attract mentors. For instance, everyone needs to have a coach. I also have a coach. His name is Anthony Low. He is the ex-VP of Nestle. He went from, in fact, in 39 years, went from junior all the way, ended up in the headquarters in Switzerland. So he's our mentor. And you need mentoring. So you need to attract people that are good to you and repulse those are toxic and do not help in your life. Life is short, right? And the third game changer is actually more about spiritual, and it's called the Robren code. It's the secret code to everything. So more things are coming up. We will show you in our Robren show. The Robrens show is actually proven ideas to change your life and make you money. And also this talk is sponsored by Purple People. It's just a fun thing that we are doing. Is if you can, there are 10 ways you can change the world. Yeah, the 10 simple acts can change the world. So you will see us in the camera in the streets, whether it's here or Hong Kong, wherever, where we will. So one way you can change the world is encouragement. Maybe just say a like, or hey, you're okay, Nick. Yeah. Second is a helping hand, a friend in need, friend indeed. Rescue is a bit more going out of your way, but you can rescue even cats and dogs. Donation, you can donate anything, your time and money and everything. So if you receive a gift, pay it forward. You know the story about the pay it forward story.
I think like when you're feeling down and you're feeling like in a difficult place, I think what you're saying is very true, because helping people.
You don't feel, you don't focus on your negativity anymore.
It takes you away from where you are. Right?
So pay it forward, a sign. Give a heart shake, give your emojis to people. Another one, even a wave to your neighbor, wave to a stranger, wave to your enemy, wave to your boss. Sometimes your boss also needs some encouragement. And a hug. Can I give you a hug?
Okay.
I highly respect what you did. I think a hug is important. I know in Asia we're not too huggy.
You kind of have the space.
But if you're comfortable, you can give someone a hug. Of course, smile. Let's start a smiling spree today. And finally, love conquers all. So this is the Purple People. If you see us in the streets, whether in wherever, we will be giving out cards. So just do your little part to change the world. You don't have to be Bill Gates to give few billions away. You can do your little part. These are some well wishes. Some of this will be our speakers in the future. And check out our pages. There are Purple People. There's also the Robrens show. The Robrens show in YouTube is just the Robrens show. You can hear lots and lots of tips. It's daily recharging and inspirational media. So the people behind this talk is the Purple Youth, as well as the Robrens show and Robrens Evo. So I support the Purple Youth. There are 7 ways the youth can change the world through entrepreneurship, arts, learning, charity, ecology, and psychology and sports. So finally, if there are media people out there want to interview us, go ahead, or even interview you or us. So you can be our consultant too. And there are a few things we can do. So there are some question answers. You can donate to our courses. We need equipment, laptops, stuff like that. We also give talks on master classes, how to live positively. And thank you. So we did it.
Yeah, thanks.
We finally did it. So Nick, you've been such an inspiration to us. I'm gonna stop sharing. So thank you for joining us. This recording will be up maybe in 2 days. Oh, got love sign from GK. Give us some love.
Thank you. Thank you.
The people we
thanks.
are the people, Purple People. So help us Thank
some
you.
ways.
We're trying to do a little bit to change the world, and we're all going through our stuff. Don't hear all the success stories. We all went through. When I went to Hong Kong, I didn't know how to type. Do you know that? I did not know how to type. There's one time I was so poor, I stayed in my office. I couldn't even afford my.
Yeah.
And every day I would go to YMCA to shower, not to do the gym. So they don't hear all this story. Even my parents don't hear that.
Nobody hears the bad stuff.
The bad stuff, yeah. So thank you, Nick. There are more great things coming up. Anthony Lowe is going in. There's probably other speakers. So stay tuned. Like our Robrens show and support us. Support the purple people.
Training.